Hello, this is Herb Keener, and it is time to see Keys to Living. Well, I've had a hiatus, but you know what? I'm back, and hopefully I'm back with some stuff that you can put into your life and use. You know, today is just what I want to talk about mainly is the fact that this world is in a terrible condition. But it doesn't mean that we have to be. It doesn't mean that we have to go with the world. So what I would like to talk about today, and mainly the premises of all this, kind of falls on that serenity prayer. But we'll get into that as I go. But right now, knowing the difference between the things we can change and the things we can't. You see, there's a big issue with the fact if we think we can change something and then we're not able to. That can take us down. What we need to do, you, me, and probably many million more, need to understand what the ability is to change things and what the strength is to know what we can't change. Because if you don't know what you can't change, that'll be the one you're trying to change. Satan has this country running amok right at this time. But what I want to talk to you about today is you can have peace. You can absolutely have peace in the middle of all that's going on. I mean, you look at the news, you look at Fresno, every day somebody's getting shot, vehicles are running into each other. You know, over in Lemoore, it was a heartbreaking story. Excuse me. It was a heartbreaking story. Man in his 60s, and he had a man with him, and they were pulling out of this casino in Lemoore. And this 29-year-old or 20-something-year-old young man was just driving crazy and fast and drunk. Killed both of the men in that pickup. You see, we never know. They didn't wake up that morning and say, well, I'm going to go gamble a little bit because I'm going to die tonight. They didn't think of that. They were doing something they enjoyed. If they would have known that they absolutely were going to die that night, I guarantee you they wouldn't have been in the casino. They'd have been embracing their loved ones and their friends. And this is why it's important for us. We're living in a time that when we leave home, we do not know whether we're going to return or not. So I'm looking at this, and this young man lived, but the two that he run into died. So we'll see what our justice system does now. And he was all cocky with the police and everything else. So he didn't have a grip on what was real and what wasn't. And he really didn't care about other people, because if he did, he wouldn't be driving drunk and at such high speeds. But I use that to show you those two men. Now, this one guy lived to be 63 years old and was taken out by a young drunk driver. 63 years he was on this planet working hard so that when he got time to retire, he would have something. He was out doing something he enjoyed. And then life is over. We need to realize in our hearts, in our mind, and in our soul that we need to embrace every moment that we have. Live day by day, but boy, embrace every moment. Don't get caught up in things that don't mean anything. Don't get caught up in the other people. Let me tell you something. If you're looking at your life and you see that you're being miserable, you need to look around and see why that is. Number one, if you got somebody in your life that continually cause you misery and you're still hanging on to them, then that issue is put right on you. I don't care whether it's family member, I don't care whether it's cousins, brothers, uncles, or aunts, or just friends. If they're putting you down every moment and you got to walk on eggshells when you're around them, that's not peace in your life. That's misery created by someone else. So instead of just hanging on to it, turn it loose. Cut that person out of your life. And the way you do that is you just stop visiting, stop being cordial, be who you are, get your peace, and then you're able to handle those that come into your life. But if you're putting up with people just because they're your peers, then you're being miserable for something that you have no control over. The only time you're going to feel good is when you're not around that person. And when you're around that person, you're feeling funny, you're feeling, you got to watch what you say, what you do. Look at the world today. Now, we have a Chicago mayor that uses the F word all the time. She used it to describe Trump. She used it to go against the Justice Thomas. I mean, absolutely just uses that word like this. Now, this is a leader of one of our larger cities. Think about that. I mean, you get onto the network and you put that name in and you put in there comments made by Mayor Lightfoot, and then listen to some of the things she says and how she says them. Now, no wonder that's the biggest criminal activity going on this United States now. These type of leaders are what causing the misery in our lives. I mean, they're angry, and that puts anger on those that are under her constituents. So come on, folks. Let's quit taking things from people like that and start looking at the people that are respecting, respecting the United States. I mean, in this since Roe versus Wade was turned over, I mean, people, a very well-known singer gives the middle finger and uses the F word on live TV. Now, what kind of reaction is that? I mean, we have a life here, and what she has shown, all her fans now more likely relate to the fact of anger. They don't know anything about peace because everybody's too mad. What we need to do is begin to be someone that others would like to be like. I mean, I hope nobody's looking at these people using that kind of language, national television, people in Congress, people in the Senate. There's people in there using that vulgar language just like it was no big deal. And no wonder this country is in a bad shape. But because the country's in a bad shape doesn't mean you have to be. Because if you allow yourself to receive all the garbage that's going on right now, I mean, there's people killing people. Look at them people. I seen on the news this 2-year-old child. They went to watch the parade, the 4th of July, and at the end of the day, he was an orphan. Both of his parents were killed with that shooter. The only good thing I seen out of it is they raised $2 million to help that young man. 2 years old, lost both of his parents because some idiot wanted to go shoot people. Out of the 7 people killed, 2 of them was his parents. So look what the country's coming to. It's coming to the point where somebody is going to have to stand up. And the somebody is you. Somebody is me. But we don't have to battle them. We're way too far down the food chain to be caught up in trying to change something. That's what I want to talk about today, is know what you can change. And the things that you can't change, don't let them control your life. Don't let them be a reason for what's going on in your life. Don't be miserable because of other people's actions, because there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Now, if you're miserable because of your actions, then you need to take a look inside yourself, and you need to begin to say, how can I change that I can be someone that the children look up to, not get angry about? I'm telling you, God is in control. Man is out of control. Now, you got to know that. Not everybody on this planet is bad. There's a lot of good people in this United States. And all those people are saying, you know, here's what I love. All them big actors, when Trump was getting elected, said if he gets elected, and there was a lot of them, if he gets elected, we're going to Canada. Well, they're a bunch of liars. Number one, not one of them moved to Canada. Not one. And you can get on the news and you can see where they love to badmouth people in it, but when it comes to leaving this United States, they're not leaving this United States. I don't care if Mickey Jones gets elected for president. I don't care if Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck gets elected. They're not leaving this place. They know a good thing when they see it. They just like to get attention by complaining over things that don't mean anything, but it riles everybody up, and that causes everybody to go in different directions, and it causes hate. They talk about certain people creating hate. Well, I'm going to tell you what, I have seen very little things that would uplift me on television, and the movies are all about death and destruction. So how can you possibly grow up and be anything except for a hater? Everybody hates somebody, then they want you to join them hating them. And if you don't join them hating them, then you're a bad person. Now come on, folks, you got your own mind, you know who you are. You want to be an ignorant person like them? Because ignorance is lack of knowledge. They definitely don't have knowledge of what life is about, because if they did, they would be enjoying this United States instead of trying to put it down all the time. But all the time these people are putting it down, they're living in it, they're taking advantage of all the blessings of the United States, but then saying what a terrible place it is to live. A couple of the movie stars and one idiot that sings songs, I don't have a clue who he is, but he said he's denouncing his citizenship because of Roe versus Wade. Now this guy's 19, 20 years old. You know, all he wanted was people to look at him. He didn't have enough sense to know what Roe versus Wade was. And he had enough sense to do that. But he makes these comments over in Canada, gets everybody worked up. Man, he's going to denounce it. He's a liar too, because he's not going to denounce the United States' citizenship. Because number one, he knows it's the best thing ever going, but if he badmouths it, he gets kudos from all those people that are stupid enough to listen to him. What I'm telling you, folks, is you need to get your peace, because if you don't get your peace and you don't start controlling your life and not allowing people to instill this hatred in you, but allowing love and nurturing and caring for those children. You know that we have right now 290, I think it's 294.5 million people in the United States. Now, and it's coming to the average of 2 million people a year. Those that are dying, those that are born, it comes out. Now, that was in 2020. And then 2010, there was 20 million people added from that 10-year span. So that means it's an average of 2 million per year being added to the United States. Now, what's the quality of that 2 million people? Well, at number one, there's idiots having idiots, there's children having children, and then they're no longer testing them, so you don't have to be smart to graduate. You just got to be breathing and able to stand up. They no longer show you how to be smart or how to deal with things. Now it's just, how dare you say that person's not good, because everybody's a winner. No, everybody's not a winner, because if everybody was the winner, there wouldn't be any losers. And there's tons of losers out there. And they react to this with anger, with violence. What's going on right now in Chicago and all the large cities, San Francisco? Everybody's freaking out. Everybody's killing people. Everybody right now says that this is what we ought to do. We need instead of saying, okay, let's see what we can do about this. Let's make this country great. Let's get this country back on track. Instead of that, they're saying burn the country down and start over again. Well, it breaks my heart to know, because I've lived on this planet for 81 years. And in the 60s, if it wasn't for racism and for the ugliness against the Japanese and stuff like that, we had a fine thing going on. If we would have had it without the racism, we would have had a great and wonderful nation. And then people would have been, as we raised them up, we educated them, and we began to let them know education was important. Now they say education is important, but you can do anything you want. Now, just because you got an F on the last 3 tests, that don't mean anything. You can graduate with honors. They'll probably make you the main speaker. You see, people have lost sight of, and I believe the reason for that is those idiots are getting into places that they can spout their anger, they can spout the ignorance that they know, because they don't really know anything, because if they did, our country wouldn't be where it's at. Now, Lightfoot, for instance, she come in cussing. Hopefully she doesn't get reelected. I mean, I believe in my heart, if anything come from the devil, she did. But that's just my opinion. Now you Lightfoot lovers, you do whatever you want. But I'm telling you this, anybody that uses that type of language and cusses people out because they disagree with her, that's not from God. That's definitely not from God. I don't want to judge the woman. She's judging herself by what she does. And that's who I am. I am what I do. I'm judged by what I say, what I do. Now, if I'm spouting out hate and hate your neighbor and, steal everything you got so before somebody else does, I'm telling you without a doubt that God needs to be back in this country. Now, here's another little thing, that this coach got fired because he wasn't able to pray after a game at the 50-yard line. He got fired. Now, the great thing is he took it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said he had a right to pray in midfield. Wow. Now, see, God got a little edge there. But see, we don't see that very much. Usually it's against the religion. It's against Christianity. I'm against religion, but I'm for God, and I'm for Christ, and I'm for the Spirit of God in me. Now, religion is something you do, that's why they say it's religiously he does that. Religiously he does. That means he does the same thing over and over again. It's time for a change, but the change has to be within us. It can't be because of what somebody else says. Our change needs to be, we need to go back to the boundaries of the Bible and begin to understand what is right and what is wrong. The difference is that the Bible says in the last days, what is right will be considered wrong, what is wrong will be considered right. So we definitely are in the midst of some area of the end days, because everything that I ever knew as values growing up, raised by a single mother that didn't have any money at all, had to take in ironing and, raised in the 40s, 50s, and then out on the 60s. But she had a value. She wouldn't have stole anything if you'd have shot her. And she wouldn't have told a lie if she was going to get a whipping. Those values no longer stand true. So let's talk about, enough of the ranting on about what's going on. Now what are we going to do about it? Let me tell you, my pastor, he preached on hope this last Sunday. And I want to tell you what, if we do not have hope, we don't have anything. That young man that shot those people from the rooftop at that 4th of July thing, he had no hope. Man, he had a history of trying to, well, he didn't do a good job. He tried to commit suicide, they said. Well, too bad he didn't succeed. But the thing is, this man was troubled. He didn't have no hope. He was engulfed. People probably made fun of him, and they probably done a thing. If you've seen his picture, you'd understand why. But what I'm telling you now is that hope was not inside him. Anger, hatred. He planned that, they said, for weeks to kill people he didn't even know. Now, where's the justice in that? It would be hard to understand him killing for any reason, but if it's somebody that beat him up or hurt him or something, that'd be one thing. But he didn't even know that. He was randomly. Now, folks, in order to change anything, we're going to have to change one at a time. If you make a decision now that you're going to look into the perimeters of the Bible, and you're going to say, hey, now let's see. Now, I shouldn't lie, and I definitely shouldn't steal. I shouldn't commit adultery. I shouldn't do this, and I shouldn't do that. But then, what's left? Freedom, peace of mind, love, communication with purpose, not with mayhem. I'm telling you, God has a better plan. Right at this time, Satan has a very good stronghold. But here's some facts. Number one, there is two things that you're serving in this world. One or the other, not both. Because if you're trying to serve both, you're wasting your time. Number one, there's the fleshly living body, the desires of what we want in life. If you're desiring, well, I want everything I can get, well, money will never be enough. Your gratification of sexual desires will never be enough until you're old enough your equipment don't work. But then you get to the point, everything you do, if it doesn't gratify you, then you see no reason to do it. Now that's serving the flesh. Now the other thing is, there is a spiritual realm. We have fleshly and we have spiritual. Now the spiritual is that we love one another, that we try to help one another, and we do things that will help, not hurt people. And it just gets into, and number one, the 10 Commandments are not 10 suggestions. They're not suggestions that you should possibly follow. God said they're commandments. And just, if you was to take them and look at them from start to finish, 1 through 10, There isn't anything there that will harm you. It will lift you up. It will help you. And if you list the 10 things that you want to do in the flesh, you're going to see that it's going to hurt people. It's going to harm people. So you're following one or the other. Now, if you're there and you're following the 10 commandments of God as best we can in this life, then you're working on a time of change. But if you're looking inside yourself and you see hatred and ugliness, you need to stop. Now, what I'm going to do is I realize we're right in the middle of the program, so we're going to take a break here in a second, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to try to tone it down and get into a reality of let's see what we can do to help us become something people will look up to, not look down to. God bless.
Gained a lot, learned a lot, and got a lot of love. If it weren't for the knowledge that I had gained from the classes at PCC, I probably wouldn't be the mom I am today. See, there it goes.
I would love you to meet my son Aaron. My situation was very difficult. I didn't know how my life was going to turn out.
We graduated in June 2010 and we got married in July. And through family, the Pregnancy Care Center changed our lives.
The Pregnancy Care Center was a huge, vital part in helping me walk through that pregnancy, in educating me and loving on me during that time.
Sometimes good intentions hurt rather than help. For just $1.76 per meal, the Fresno Rescue Mission offers more than food. We offer hope. Please donate today.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
I'm back. Here we go. Now, we're back to talking about this world that's so strange. The first half, we let you know how bad it was in case you're blind and can't see the TV where the news is. We have caught you up. And then we're going to get to the point of knowing the difference of what we can change and what we can't, and then the wisdom to know what to do about it. I want to just enlighten you with that serenity prayer so you can know the basis of where I'm at today. It says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. You see, we have to know. If we don't know what we're doing, we'll be out here doing something stupid. And here's the rest of that. That first part is the one everybody talks about, and they put on the little frame and everything. But here's the rest of it this man wrote in 1859. It says, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace. Taking, as he did, Jesus, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it. Trusting that he will make all things right if I surrender to his will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. Amen. Now, that God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. You see, we have to know what we can and cannot do. Now, I shared with you about that accident. 2 people died. That morning when they got up, they said, okay, we're going to go down this casino and we're going to have a little fun and we're coming home. Pulling out of the casino, they get killed. And knowingly, if they knew they were going to die that day, they would have been embracing their family, not enjoying a thing that they like to do. Here I'm telling you is when you get up in the morning, you need to look around you. Are you in a happy place? Because we can be happy. Now we can be. I'm an example of it. I've been an angry man for a lot of years, and just people I felt treated me badly, even family members. But finally, I got a grip, and I said, well, wait a minute. I should be in charge of who I am, not somebody else. If you let somebody else make you angry or feel comfortable, then you don't belong around them. And it doesn't matter if you're married to them or not, because number one, God didn't mean for us to be miserable on this earth. That wasn't the plan. That's just how we made it. Now, how many people, you go down the road and start looking at people's face. I mean, I've been doing this for the last 6 months. 1 out of 1,000 may be smiling. I mean, I'm talking 1 out of 1,000. I thought, wow. So I started trying to keep a smile on my face while I'm doing it, and it freaks people out. They probably think you're up to something. But what I'm saying is, look at the unhappiness in this world. And if you're one of them, you need to look within you and see, why am I unhappy? Then do something about it. Can I change what's making me unhappy? We can be happy, but in order to be happy, we need hope. We need hope that things are good in our life. Now, everything in a tornado, if you're right in the middle of it, there's an eye of the tornado that everything is calm. I mean, it's just peaceful. Then when that tornado moves that eye, the same place you were standing, it just levels the ground, whether there's houses or whatever there. What I'm telling you is enjoy the eye of the tornado, because there is going to be troubles. People are going to die. There's nothing we can do about that. All we can do is try to enjoy who we are, where we are, and who we're with. I've told you so many times on even when I had the senior moment before Keys to Living, is I got the best thing going in the world as far as a spouse. Now that I'm not traveling and doing things, I used to travel. I probably put 1 million miles in the skies, traveling, doing seminars and things about building waterfalls and overlays and stuff like that. And I never realized, and in the last 10, 15 years, I've been home with her, and nothing stays smooth all the time. But I tell you what, most of the time, we are blessed beyond measure. Now, I see some friends of mine that used to be friends. I don't believe I have any anymore. But what I'm talking about is people that are miserable. They hate going home. They'd rather stay at work than go home. That's not a life. We need to look at who we are, what we're doing, and why we're doing it. Because, see, we're going to die. I'm 81 years old. Another 9 years, I'm going to be 90. Now, come on. I mean, things are going to change for me. But I need to enjoy every breath that I take until the time does come. And we need to be at peace in this world. All this stuff, there's always going to be wars. There's always going to be troubles. And there are always going to be people dying. So that's life. Get yourself in a position that you enjoy this life. And that you love somebody and somebody loves you. I do have people in my life that just love me to pieces, and I love them. But you see, we have to earn that love. That love doesn't come instant. It's who we are. It's how we express ourselves. And if you've done something wrong in your life to somebody, don't let pride keep you from a friend. Don't let pride, because things change. Man, I've done people bad when I was up doing my thing, and if you read my book, you'll know that I was one crazy hombre. And what I'm telling you is, now, a lot of those people are my dear friends. But see, when I went from serving the fleshly side to serving the spiritual side, there was a change. But see, change doesn't come by itself. You have an obligation that if it changes within you, tell people, because they may think you're still the same old person that you was. If you have discovered that love, compassion, joy, peace is a better way to go than being macho and mean and all that, tell someone. Tell those people that you hurt. Do whatever it takes to let them realize they're not dealing with the same person. That's how you get peace. But see, if you don't tell, if you do not go out and express who you are, they'll never know that there was ever a change in your heart. And if you're allowing that macho mentality to stop you from doing that, you're cheating yourself from enjoying this life. You can't be at peace. If you know you're changing inside and other people think you're still the same, you'll be most miserable. There's things that we have to do. And when I decided what I was going to do for this program, I didn't realize how emotional I would get in this area. And so exuberant, because I know what it is to be miserable on a daily basis, to be hurt, to be dealt wrong, excuse me. And the things of this life can be enjoyed. You know, Christians and non-Christians know that's serenity prayer. And we need to be able to know that we can. That's a basis right there. Learning what's in that prayer is the format to beginning to understand who you are, understanding what you want out of this life. You see, like this lady going down the highway yesterday morning, 6 cars piled up. She hit the tree, burnt, and died. Now, she didn't wake up and say, well, I'm going to die today, so I better get things squared away. You need to live every day like you're not going to come home. Then you appreciate life, breath. You appreciate your loved ones. You appreciate your children. That's where peace comes from, having something you love. And if you don't do that, you need to accept the fact that there's things that you cannot change, and that's okay. But don't try to battle them. Don't try to change them. Don't try to turn them around. Most people that you try to change, you're over there telling them, pretty soon you're hollering at them. And I got news for you, buddy. People start hollering at me, and they're not going to get me change anything except for where they're at. What I'm telling you is change comes by small movements. Change comes by your action. Change comes by your words. If your words aren't pleasing and caring, and it has to be diligently done and then also committed to a daily process of being who you want to be, not who you were. Now, I may be speaking out there to people that they think, oh, well, I'm a good person. Well, you know what? That's a blessing and that's great, and you need to spread that around. But I know there is thousands, probably millions of people that have something they want change in their life. They can't get along with people. They can't relate. They can't find it in their heart to forgive them. They can't find it in their heart to go tell someone they done them wrong. I'm telling you, what we need in this world is more. We need to humble ourselves more than we need to be angry. Every time we start to get angry, we need to know that we need to start being humble. Humble in a way that shows people that you care. When we leave the house angry and we come home angry, that means we have an angry life. Everybody has something they want changed, whether it's major or whether it's minor. But everybody has something. Now, a lot of times if you don't change, it's not a big deal because your goodness overpowers it. But 90% of the time, the ugliness of your life is displayed stronger than the beautiful part. And the beautiful part is show people that you know how to love. And the strong part is being able to open yourself up to be loved. You see, the power of this life, the peace, the joy, the truly being happy in this life is more in the love part. You can't enjoy this life. You can't be happy mumbling and grumbling and being angry all the time. You just can't be happy because you're too busy making people miserable. And you people that hit your wife, now come on, let me tell you something. I don't know what your issue was when you was a kid or whether you watched it or whatever happened. But if you're one of them, sit back in a corner somewhere and figure out what you're losing, because one of these days, if she doesn't leave, she will. There will be a time you'll be alone and you'll have a reputation of being a hitter and no one will have anything to do with you. Change now. Keep your family. There's nothing more despicable than a man beating up on a woman and then saying they love her. Now, come on, folks. It's a contradiction. Now, that was thrown in for free, so I just want to let you know You people out there that are hitters, you need to change that. People are mainly complainers. How many people have you ever had walk up to you and say, well, you know what, it's been a great day, and man, my job's going good and everything is fine, my kids are just lovely. But how many times have you heard that conversation come out? More likely never. More likely the person that come up to you and said, man, I hate that guy at work, he just keeps messing with me. This lady keeps my mind screwed up all the time because she's doing miserable things and this and that. Man, my boss is a jerk and this and that. And then my kids are just being unruly and my wife is just that. You know, they'll come into you and tell you all the issues they've got, and but they don't tell you the issues that are a blessing in their life. So people mainly, they get into the complaining, and I guess it's some kind of habit that's into us, but that can be stopped. If it's going to be ugly, keep it in yourself and speak about the good things in your life. Because if you don't have anything good in your life, you're done anyway. But your life is worth something to God, to your family, to people that are around you. They want to love you. You're either making it easy for them or hard for them. 90% of the time is hard. Now I'm going to tell you the hardest thing I believe there is to do. Hardest thing is discernment. Because we're asking God to wisdom to know the difference. The wisdom to know the difference is called discernment. That's a difficult skill to master. Discernment, trying to determine, does this person belong in my life? Does this person believe what I believe? Does this person calm, or is this person angry? Usually by the time you figure out whether they're good or bad, it's way too late. You're already into a relationship, you're into a friendship, and now it's hard. It's like a divorce. You almost have to get a divorce from a friend by just either moving or just quit talking to them at all. People need discernment, and it's the wisdom of God will give you the discernment. Now, I speak to the fact I want to be happy in this life. Man, I want to make you guys laugh. I want to make things good. I want to have a ball. At 90 years old, I want to still be sitting at this table right here telling you guys how great life is and how good it's going to be. So let's get on with how are we going to change our life so that we can be a joy to this world, not a detriment. So I think we're getting close to being closing time here, and what I want to tell you at the end is I hope you got something out of this rattling, and I hope that I'm going to speak to God and just try to, next show, I want to bring this in even a little bit clearer than it is. And God bless you, and send me some emails. Tell me how dumb I am or we're on the right track. God bless you. See you next time.